sesame. Open sesame. There is a portal. If you don't see it, trace it there. Now see it. That is the door, not to a place. That is the door to a who. Across. Open sesame. Open sesame. There is a portal. If you don't see it, trace it there. Now see it. That is the door, not to a place. That is the door to a who. Across. Bala Maharaha Heka Ma Na Ra Ma Ha Ma Ra Na Ma Sa Ma Kabala Kabala Heka 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 Kabala Kabala Heka Heka Heka
Enagigulaga. Firefly, firefly, bring me light. Light my way home, dark is the night. Your tiny ember glows so bright. Firefly, firefly, give me light. Utsis dalugi Anagigulaga. Firefly, firefly, bring me light. Light my way home, dark is the night. Your tiny ember glows so bright. Utsistalugi Anagigulaga Firefly, firefly, bring me light. Light my way home, dark is the night. Your tiny ember glows so bright.
Meduneccer. Ka. Pa. La. Before there were words, there was breath. Before there were names, there was sound. Ka. Papa la. La. Kapala la. Ka. Root. Ba. Flower. Sound is the chord. The chord is the scepter. Meduneccer. The words of the gods are not spoken. They become. Breath takes shape. Vibration becomes pattern. Pattern becomes meaning. Meduseshep. The glyph is light. To see is to bind. To bind is to petrify. Aten. The light is speaking matter. Mana. Amara. Samara. 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 Sound remembers itself. It can be named. It can be known. Mana karasa mahana rabasala makarahana marasala kabarana saha malara ramana kasahala bana ramasaka harana malasa rabakana hamarala sakana barama hasalana rakama sahana ramala kabasarahana malakarana sabahara manala sakara bana hasala marakana sahala bara Mana sahala na bara kabara sahana mala karana sabahara manala sakara bana hasala mara bana sahala baraka mana sahala na bara kabara kapala kabara kabala kabala. The scepter has spoken. Its word is light. Its light is matter. Madhu nature. Heka. The sound is the chord. The lotus in the scepter. Heka. Magic. Ka. Ad vesperas. Sola vera, nema cura melinox, tarasita vela mora, umbra caro per la vox, harinoxa, luma tendra siraton, calivena, inventus la hidden thorn. Abrahadabra, obscuratio, abrahadabra, incantamina, abrahadabra, obligatio, abrahadabra, spell me under. Visita sola clara len, interiora divine terreisha, rectificando portal in Venice view, occultum corta lapis bra, arinoxa invoca, luna terra circa torn, calivena, aperta la hidden door. Abrahadabra, obscuratio, abrahadabra, incantamina, abrahadabra, obligatio, abrahadabra, spell me under. Spell me under. Terra, visita, vivid, interiora, clara, shadow in Venice, occultum lapis, luma mora. Abrahadabra, interiora, abrahadabra, rectificando, abrahadabra, occultum, abrahadabra, spell me under. Spell me under.
Nobody knows the hermit's life, 'cause that's the way it's gotta be.
That's right. You got work to do. Right on. That was the first set from the first set I've ever made, actually. That's called my Kabbalah set. I think you can hear me right now. My name's Jamé Strew. I'm filling in tonight. Trying to keep the crowd warm. There's an impromptu Monday night ride tonight. I say impromptu because I told everybody that there was no dodo tonight, and then I took a nap, and then woke up a different person. It's Versapellis. It's something that happens to me, happens to the best of us, happens to the worst of us. It happens to the middle of us. And, we are just trunks with legs and arms and stuff like that. And, so all you people out there listening, oh, look at that. We got a few more people here. Great to see everybody. Thanks for the lovely birthday wishes. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's the Kabbalah set. A lot of those are new tunes. And in case you don't know, most of those tunes are written played from I wanted to have a graphic up to show you guys. Played from the guts of a sacred ram. That's right. Hang on a second. It's probably gonna hear some music for a second until I find this picture again that used to be up. The guts from a sacred ram, specifically on Elephantine Island. Elephantine is closer to the heart of Africa. Sort of the beginning of Egypt, if you were to follow the Nile down. And the sacred ram was kept on that island. There were a couple of sacred rams, but the most sacred of sacred rams were kept there. And the rams that were kept there were revered. They were considered sacred omens. Ben Abjedet, this ram-headed figure, was actually had like 4 ram heads. He was like a prolific ram-headed figure. And Khnum, this single ram-headed figure, are sort of precursors to like Pan or Daksha or Baphomet. And this creature gave birth to the Jewish faith. I'm talking about the real beginning of the Jewish faith. I'm talking about the Jewish faith that even the Jews, for as much as I appreciate them writing down everything, that they were like, yeah, we did what James said. We're just kind of embarrassed about it. And that was steal all of the belief systems that were already there in Egypt. And those belief systems were really at the heart of the Jewish Revolution, was a blowing of the sacred ram's horn. They went to that island and they gutted that ram. And the gutting of that ram was the extreme act of defiance. Keep in mind the people of the Shazoo were basically rebel slaves. And that shofar horn is such a deep Hebrew instrument. And I find it fascinating that it took me discovering that on my own, that hasn't just been like kind of out there, like a book called The Truth About the Shofar or something, or Shofar So Good. That was my idea, was Shofar So Good. And then it would be a so good with a question mark, right? Because you're kind of asking, hey, is this a good thing? Is this a good thing or not? But all that's an aside, because the reason why I want you to see the image on the screen, not that it's particularly beautiful, although for me it has deep meaning. And I want you to imagine that this is probably how early man saw the world. In shades of red and in intense forms of energy emanating from things. The intense form of energy would not be seen as direct sunlight. The sun itself was probably a red, splotchy color that wasn't rendered solidly. Keep in mind that the mind's able to polarize or depolarize light, and that the sky itself was rendered as black probably, that everything that we give it our blue to is painted by a lot of extra calories, and that this image shows you the hues, all the shades that were available at the time. And I say that because when you listen to the beginning of the music, particularly the Kabbalah music, you're hearing an Egyptian shoulder harp. And that shoulder harp is made from the guts of this sacred ram. And the fact that the ram's guts were used in a way to play music for the pharaoh was, I hope it partakes to you how music is such a more intrinsically magical thing. You and I sort of have normalized that. And that normalization is fine. We got a lot of magic in the world, am I right? Looking at you, everybody. But that magic was so much more in your face. The presence of music itself, I want you to picture that music itself probably emanated a color, that the sound of the plucking of this ram's horn probably emanated a shaping of consciousness. And the closest example I can give you is if you've ever heard a rattlesnake's tail, and you can admit that it scared you. The feeling that you have when the sound of that tail, it's 7 basically hollow segments, that those 7 segments, because of their resonance and their shape in relation to each other, they penetrate your nervous system and they put you in a state of paralysis. You feel fear. And I remember when that happened to me, it dawned on me while I was in frozen fear. I was like, oh my God, this is how rattlesnakes kill you. It's not that they are super sneaky or fast. Like, this is probably a lazy fat rattlesnake. He's probably just like, yeah, now I got him stunned, I'm going to look through his wallet. And while he's frozen, I'm going to steal his identity. I'm going to, whatever he wants to do. How would I know? I'm paralyzed. And I think this is the closest example you can have to thinking about how reality actually rendered back then. What it was actually like in Egypt to function and see things on this different bandwidth. As much as you could argue that it's lesser because you maybe don't have as many colors, it's also probably a lot deeper because everything within that color spectrum is going to be there. I think you're looking at the jaguar sun right now, this image. Everything's black except for what's important. And then you start to differentiate the land. The only reason why you'd be able to differentiate the land is if you notice the land wasn't you. That would take a lot. It would take a great deal of wisdom to realize I'm not a part of the land. And as soon as you realize that in your psyche, as your cosmology developed that, I think you would start to paint it in the atmosphere. You would paint that separation. And that's why the Nile is black. That's why Kemet means black. It means black because the first thing we did after we could see the land is we learned to see water in the land. And how we do that? We separated the water from the land. And when we separate the water from the land, we render it as black. Why? Do you know how complicated it is to ray trace transparent textures? It was subsurface scattering inside a open shade environment with a physics engine that's running full time. I mean, it's a lot to compute. But if you would just render all of your translucent materials as solid, you do not need the same kind of video card. You do not need anywhere near the same kind of fancy equipment as you would need to put live ray trace shadows underneath the spy hunter's car. And so your video game would look different. Your screen would look different. When I grew up, there was a football game. It was green and plastic. I think Mattel made it. And it was a series. It was 3 rows and maybe 10 columns. And there was a red dot. And that red dot occupied one of those 3 rows and one of those columns. And sometimes that red dot would blink. And that was the entire game. And I was fully immersed in that world that had its own sun, right? I was fully conscious in that world. I could drive for hours. I mean, I wouldn't drive. I was a kid. I would be in the car for hours playing that game, and I was completely immersed in that world. So the higher resolution isn't even necessarily a factor on how immersive something is. I think it's kind of a luxury, you know? Like we've learned to luxurize Pong. Yeah, exactly, Pong, you know? Or Q*bert. God, that was a good one. Man, surprised there's not like a Q*bert movie, you know? Starring like Brendan Fraser or something. Q*bert travels through the world living in a square world, and he escapes his cubicle, and he seeks the round world. He wants to go to the round world and see if that's there, you know. That's what it could be. It could be something like that. We'll do one more song, then hopefully, I don't know if anyone's going to be there, but man, it'd be great if they were, but it's no pressure. If not, I was going to tell you some stuff about UAPs and SSPs and ICUPs, and we're going to talk about all that. But let's listen to this new release here from Jeru. You're listening to something.
The room is yours, stable with the skylight. I am where you last placed me, a glass trinket. I am the box you bought me in. You are my fence charming, not breaking in, not letting go. You look past what is, like it's already over. I must be mistaken. I don't ask what I am, it doesn't change. The green is out there, not here, somewhere. You said it like a promise, meant it like delay. So I started seeing it too, not the green, but the distance. How it stretches, how it edits, making this space feel temporary, even when it isn't. The floor is perfect, nothing leaves a mark, so I can feel the plank now, not under my feet, under yours. You stand there, weight shifting, as if gravity owed you something better, as if the ocean could be bigger. You linger, not because you're unsure, because you believe something better will recognize you first. I stay because staying is what I do. You stay for the reveal, always just beyond the pain. Nothing just me.
That's right. My Fence Charming Lo-Fi Mix. We got a lot of music been coming out lately. I think it's related to the vibration. I think the vibration is higher. That's what I think. And I think as vibrations get higher, you end up instead of speaking, you're still speaking, but now you're singing, you're creating music. And I've seen this be, I think honestly the future is supposed to be like that, but I totally get how the world's like, I don't want to live in a musical. Like I know that people get kind of angry when maybe you're watching your favorite show and then they break out into musicals. Some people are actually offended by that. And I think that there's times when I've broken out into song in public and it's offended people, and it could be that it's not because I'm a bad singer. It actually could be for other reasons. And I think the other reasons are electrical. I think they have to do with our acceptable level of functioning prescribes us with a certain level of mundanity. And keep in mind, this mundanity is profound. It's great. I mean, we can do taxes. We can debate whether or not war powers have expired while still shooting people in the Caribbean. I mean, it's very, very diverse. You can do a lot of stuff with our mundanity where it is. You really can. And we've built quite a civilization on that. I'm not even complaining about it. Hats off to you, all you people out there creating the civilization. I see your P. I think you're great, and I'm helping out too. I know it may not seem like that sometimes, but this level, if enough people sort of want to vibrate higher, if they become maybe more vibe-liable, it could be that that's going to look like people are breaking out more in song. It may not be that everyone's going to sing. Don't worry. Could not. Maybe we're not in karaoke land. It could be that people are just dancing more. It could be that people are more melodic in their communication. And I would say that the rise in emojis is the new vowel inside human language. The idea that we have now created another space that wasn't there before, the same way you would look back at ancient texts and go, hey, monk, you've left all the vowels out. And the monk's just like, well, there are no vowels. And they're even like, you even took out the spaces. And the monk's like, dude, there weren't even spaces then. And you're like, what do you mean there weren't spaces? And then you start reading Old Latin and you're like, what the fuck is this? And it's just, I'm not sure. It's a mantra. It's a mantra. And if you think about it, okay, first of all, they didn't carve everything, but this is a funny joke. I mean, think about it if you're a stone carver and you're just like, hey, every year, why don't all of us agree to just cut a little bit off the space every year? And we're going to all, big stone. It's probably big marble that did it. It's probably big granite. They were like, they took it for granted and made all that in No, I realize most of it's written down, but it was all in that mantra. It was all in that continuous mantra. Same with hieroglyphics, except for the hieroglyphics are much more exquisite because it's more about mirroring. Like, you look at a hieroglyphic and you're noticing that, well, first you got to find the direction. It's not hard, but it's just, You're like, wait a minute, they were writing backwards? It's like, yeah, they were writing backwards. They were just like, I'm going to say this forwards and I'm going to say this backwards. And we don't do that. We don't do that. We do not have reverse on our transmission. The closest I've seen to us coming to that, and I'm proud of us, is Pig Latin. We've got a Pig Latin thing going on, and we can play with that. And even that code is kind of hard to crack sometimes, I got to admit. I'll be in the middle of it wondering, what am I saying? And then you're wondering is, what if what we're hearing is already in Pig Latin? This is what I mean by we're not singing. This is exactly what I mean by that. The music that was playing the Egyptian, that shoulder harp, probably only had 5, maybe 7 notes. And those 7 notes weren't a major scale. You would think that they would be. I say that because you really are just cutting the hertz in half. Like from octave to octave, you're just, if this is vibrating at 100, if this string is vibrating at 100 beats a second, this one at 200 is going to be an octave of that. And then 400 is going to be an octave of that. What I'm getting at is that the ear, you would think that all these instruments would have been naturally major scaled. You would think that they would all be major scale first. And that the first person that put a black key on the piano, they probably murdered that guy. They were probably just like, you fucking heretic, what are you doing? And even now in music, there's this cool acts. That one French polka dotted group is an example. I can't think of their name. Sorry, Andre Boissois or something. But they they work in microtones now. So just as emoticons come in, so too do we start to use these microtones. And so the definition of what music is becoming more profound, and it would seem like it's not that we're not in a phase that we're using music, it's that we don't recognize that there's actually no way for us not to sing. That society created a rule where we're going to sing in monotone and we're going to call it talking. And we're going to call it talking because it's going to keep everybody from dancing. It's going to keep everybody in a still-like state where you're predictable. And this is going to make everybody feel better. It is. It's going to make everybody feel better. And then we're going to circumcise the boys. I'm sorry. But it's like, and this keeps going. They develop more ways of doing this. And then you end up with teenage angst and probably pimples. It's probably the only reason why there's pimples and stuff. It's probably the only reason. That honestly, there's, just like you were playing as a child and you're told not to, that's the music. And it's not that the music stops, although this is what we want to tell ourselves. It's time for the music to stop. You need to be serious. But it's actually much darker. It's darker because we're pretending that we stopped the music. And we haven't stopped the music. We've put it inside an equalizer. We've cut the highs and we've cut the lows. We've taken the mediums and we've chopped it up into bits, and we've assigned those bits into fumones or syllabuses. And these syllables or fumones are the building blocks of this new form of not singing. And one of the reasons why I wrote the Kabbalah music is because Kabbalah, first of all, a lot of people get really mad when you're like, you're not supposed to say that Kabbalah comes from Egypt. You clearly don't know what you're talking about. Anyone who knows anything knows that that's not the case. And I'm telling you, this sacred ram's horn, guys, I'm telling you that it's the same thing for singing. There's no way that it could not come from Egypt. That's all I'm saying. There's just no way for it not to. It's just a different form of singing. It's just a different form of communicating. And it's this drone will continue until the frequency improves. And I don't even know if we need it. I think if anything, this monotony is giving us an ability to really appreciate how cool it is to dance, how special it is to have that. And more importantly, you now have an authentic measurement to know how someone's feeling, because if everyone was dancing full time, then what would it feel like if you were excited? Like, I mean, you'd have to like spontaneously combust. And, you know, it's just, there's a lot of mess there. Man, if you've ever spontaneously combust, it is a wreck. There's a lot to it. And, you know, no one wants to clean that up. Nobody does. So the shoulder harp is so simple. The tones are so simple, but this guy, Eugene Levy, was able, I'm pretty sure that's his name. I know there's a famous actor named Eugene Levy. I bet it's not his name, but it is Levi. I think it's Levi, something Levi. But this guy somehow was able to like find out how this thing was actually played back then. And it's very annoying. It's not a melodic sound. It's a forced sort of just almost too repetitious, where like someone's purposely plucking the string over and over again just to be as annoying as they can, right? And I want you to think about that sort of like as like a primary color. Sort of like what a primary color would look like when you're a child. You would only be able to see like primary colors. I think you're going to be able to hear this. Let me see. I've added some music, sorry, but I'm pretty sure this is the one that has... Just give it a sec. I actually made this too good. I mean, I just mean it's supposed to be a lot more annoying. It's much smoother than I wanted that to be. That just happened to be the latest mix. I didn't know I was gonna play that for you guys. You may have been able to hear a little bit of that plucking sound. I wonder if this is better. We got the live chat open. We got people in there. If you guys want to raise your hand,
We sure do have people in here.
Hey there,
Hello.
Stretch.
Ahoy!
Ahoy.
Ahoy! Happy Hey Earth Day, Abe Ames J. Yeah,
Yes.
Pig Latin would be really tough to sing. I'd have to say, singing Pig Latin is tricky, so it's good we don't do that. But this is a fantastic discussion. What a surprise! I missed the first song that I know I love, the Kabbalah. It's just such what a fun window to open up today, James. Thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you. I'm actually glad you said that because I didn't actually explain really quick that the reason why I think that Kabbalah is so Egyptian is because the word Ka is the root of the lotus or the scepter, and the Ba is the top of the scepter or the flower, and the tube in between is the cartouche of your life. It is the tube of your life. And you will see a lot of Egyptian renderings have this vessel that shows you moving through almost like this esophagus of time. And the Ka and the Ba would be the beginning and the ending of your life. And so it's really difficult for me not to notice, why does the word Kabbalah have Ka and Ba in it? And these are the same people that were the Holy of Holies, the Ark of the Covenant, all of these things, Adam and Eve, the Potter's Wheel, all of these things were in and still are cosmology of Egypt. So
The sandal fits.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Oh, that's lovely. Yes, the sandal fits. It's exactly right. And so when you have that, but you see that people, this is why the Bible doesn't talk about the pyramids.
Yeah.
I bet you there was like a first pyramids, 7, chapter 6. Thou shalt not rent a camel, from the east side of the pyramid or whatever. Like it's the city of Un was in the Bible, and you would be able to technically see the pyramids by looking south about 20 miles away. You'd probably be able to see that. I mean, looking north. No, wait, south. Yeah.
Okay.
You'd be able to see those things. And the fact that they're not, they're like, out of all the scribes, it's like, should we mention the pyramids? No, they're stupid. There's nothing important there. They're not big. They're not impressive. And none of our religion is from there. So, and it's not important. There's, so what? And one
Definitely
day,
not inspired by that. We're definitely not inspired.
yeah, we're not
by
moved at
those
all by that. It's no big
pyramids,
deal.
man.
It's no big deal.
I don't
Meanwhile,
even see
Solomon's
them. What are you
temple.
even talking about?
Solomon's temple, and we're like, yeah, but we haven't actually built that. Well, so doesn't matter, man. It was bigger than the pyramids. And you know what? That's why I think, what Solomon's temple was? It was the pyramids. The true Solomon's temple was the pyramids, and that's why it's Masonic. That's why the word Solomon is in there. It's all stolen, but to be more positive, it's placed into secrecy. It's a little bit different than stealing. It's placed into secrecy. And you're going to need a Jewish revenge cult to pull this off. You're going to have to kill some rams that did nothing to you. There's probably really nice rams. I mean, you got to admit, if you're like worshipped your entire life, the rams are probably a little bit douchey,
Randy the Ram's kind of a jerk.
Yeah, he's probably like always like,
And
oh,
some
look
Rams
at me.
are just kind of,
Yeah.
like just showing off and everything all the time.
Yeah.
What do you think they are? Sacred or something?
I know that Randy would purposely poop where he would poop just because he knew he could. He knew it. He'd be like, they're going to pick it up. I'm going to watch them pick it up. I'm sacred. What are you going to do about it?
Exactly. They're probably going to bless it.
Yeah.
Build a fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe make an orb at it with the beetle to raise the sun.
They probably sell it to like Ezekiel or whoever the dude was. That's like, I want to eat poop on the side of the road. It's probably like, hey, I got some good sacred ram poop. Yeah. Keep in mind everything about that ram is totally sacred. I think a lot of this is part of why you hear the idea of the golden fleece. I really think you're seeing this sacred ram worship that's just been sort of turned into a new religion. Because it has to spring out of the past, out of a mythology, and Egypt fits that. So everything would have to be a little bit different, and it would have to look like it was sort of stolen or what's the word? Appropriated. Technically, everybody's appropriating Egypt. Like cultural appropriation.
Yeah. You guys, you feel that one? That was grounding. Yeah.
Very appropriate.
Denial.
Very
Denial
appropriate.
ain't just a river in Egypt.
That's right.
And we got some great tunes to go with. Yeah. Oh my gosh, James, I've just been really enjoying all these new vibes coming in.
Well, thank you
to Aquarius. Thank you so much.
Let's listen to one. Let's listen to.
Oh, please, yes. Which one?
Let's listen to "Keep Losing It All."
Okay, I'm going to mute and listen to it on YouTube.
You keep turning me on. I keep brushing you off. You keep putting me out. I keep taking you in. You keep pulling me in. I keep pushing you out. You keep taking me wrong. I keep losing it all. We can't seem to fit or quit. We don't seem to mind the mess. I keep begging for more. I keep losing it all. Listen. You keep turning me on. I keep brushing it off. You keep putting me out. I keep taking you in. You keep pulling me in. I keep pushing you out. You keep taking me wrong. I keep losing it all. We can't seem to fit or quit. We don't seem to mind the mess. I keep begging for more. We keep giving it less.
I want to take this opportunity to talk about what the scepter actually actually means, because I don't know if people know this, but Luxor, the city of Luxor, used to be called Thebes, and Thebes means scepter. And if you look at the Nile as a giant scepter, you can see how it's also a lotus, that a scepter and the lotus are sort of the same thing. And the song that I wrote yesterday for Kabbalah, the lyrics, I think, really encapsulate the lessons that are conveyed inside of Luxor itself. And it explains that Ka is the root, Ba is the flower, which we just talked about, but that sound is the chord. The chord is the scepter. The scepter has a lotus inside that chord, and it grows. And this I think is the true nature of Aten. This Akhenaten's concept of what light was. Light is a chord of sound. That chord of sound is controlled by naming it. You see, all sound can do is remember. All sound can do is remember what it's told, can't it? It can only remember what it's told. And you tell sound what it is. You take your intent and you place it into the sound. And many of us think that this is done with breath, and sure, your breath is a part of it, but it's actually not. It's actually done with chords, with sacred ram guts in your throat. You have two of them. And these vocal cords are plucked by your breath. And they're plucked in such a way that they convey a story of sound. And that story is known, it's understood. It's understood because you are a magician. You speak Heka. You speak Ach. You speak the hieroglyphics of language, and it's all single syllables. Ka, ba, la. All these words, ma, ha, ra, ha. Some of you know that word, Maharaha. Something about the splendor, right? The splendor and glory of God and the sun. And it's got the Ha, which is a Hebrew concept of the window, the opening into the divine, and then the Ra itself. All these words that you see are all over these other religions, but they all come back to this Medu Seshep. The glyph is light. When it says to see is to bind, your witness binds the chord of sound. Your witness binds the sound because you hear it. And by hearing that sound, you collapse the wave. The quantum wave, right? Suddenly becomes solid. So it petrifies. Aten petrifies the world. The light itself is seeing the world for you so that everything in the world is always staying in the same time. If not, you would have to use your eye of Shiva to go up to a field and look at it so that it would grow. And if you wanted to go home and take a break, you'd be, well, fuck, I can't, because if I go home, these flowers aren't going to grow. I need to stay here looking at the flowers longer so they can grow, because you need a witness to collapse the wave. And that's the Aten. That's what the sun does. The sun is there to remember all of the sounds, and in a way to insist that it remain and do what it was told. Medu Neter. It's this making of this kind of divinity. The lead song I'm going to play again, I hope you don't mind, but I want you to just hear the lyrics in that and think about that. Actually, before I do, let me just say a little bit more about this. Probably the original idea of Horus is the placenta. And the umbilical cord is an interesting thing because it literally is a lotus. It's a root. And that root has a cord. And that cord is attached to a child, a newborn king, a flower, a ba. The amount of symbolism in this was so moving that they called that creature Horus. And it was on the horizon the same way the lotus lives in two horizons. One is underwater, one is on top. And that's the scepter. This is the chord of sound. The chord of sound is the connection that your sound makes by saying, hey ba, hey ka, you guys are one. You create the chord between them. You connect those two through your memory. You remember who you are, which means you remember your root, which means you're able to keep a wireless cord separating your flower from your root. This idea of the sound itself being a scepter. And a scepter is a solid thing, right? It's made out of wood, or maybe some of you have got a nice fancy scepter. But then if there's a lotus inside of it, if that scepter becomes a lotus, something different happens. It opens and closes. It opens and closes. It becomes life. And all that came from a sound. You know what I mean? Like, all that came from a sound. And when you look at the valley of the Gate of Kings, it's not Valley of the Kings, it's the Valley of the Gates of Kings. It's gates, plural. It's telling you these are all little vessels where the roots of lotuses were kept. Not of kings, but of wise women who had children, who looked at the placenta and said, holy shit, what is this? Why is it breathing? Why does it have a pulse? Why does it die? Why does it die? They watch it die. Think about how moving that is, the same way that I want you to think about how an Egyptian shoulder harp is not just someone playing notes. That's a sacred ram. It's a sacred ram expressing something, and I think that's why it's played so annoyingly. It's plucked in just a really annoying pattern. It's not supposed to sound beautiful. It's supposed to sound real, you know? Let's listen.
Medunetcher. Ka. Pa. La. Before there were words, there was breath. Before there were names, there was sound. Ka. Papa la. La. Kapala la. Ka. Root. Ba. Flower. Sound is the chord. The chord is the scepter. Medunetcher. Eka. The words of the gods are not spoken. They become. Breath takes shape. Vibration becomes pattern. Pattern becomes meaning. Meduseshep. The glyph is light. To see is to bind. To bind is to petrify. Aten. The light is speaking matter. sound remembers itself. It can be named. It can be known. Kabbalah. Kabbalah ranama saharala manakarasa mahanara basala makarahana marasala kabarana saha malara. Ramana kasahala bana ramasaka harana mala sarabakana hamarala sakana barama hasalana rakama. Sahana ramala kabasarahana malakarana sabahara manala sakara bana hasala marakana sahala bara. Karama sahala na baraka sahana malara makasara banana hasaraka manabala sahara. Kabara sahana malakarana sabahara manala sakara bana hasala marakana sahala baraka mana sahala na bara. Kabara sahana malakarana sabahara manala sakara bana hasala marakana sahala baraka mana sahala na bara. The scepter has spoken. Its word is light. Its light is matter. Madu nature. Heka. The sound is the chord. The lotus in the scepter. Heka. Magic.
That's right. Ka ka ka. That's why the crows, they know what's going on. They know what to say. They know how to say it. You're taking a ride with me on my birthday. My name's Jami Strew. I've changed my name. But I don't want to like this series of like spelling it different. So basically just move the space. And for those of you who want to dead name me, I've made it that impossible because you're still going to use my name no matter what you say. So yeah, welcome to a beautiful night, Monday Night Ride. We're gonna do a dojo tonight, but being my birthday, I had some great phone calls today, just a lot of communicating, and I just wasn't sure. Sometimes dojos can get kind of heavy, like it just requires more. And I wanted to kind of enjoy a vibe a little bit, trying to set up a vibe, trying to see if maybe this format where I sort of mix talk and music in a way that informs but also dilates. Maybe it's something you people would be interested in. I love this channel, Dojo Earth. I love what we do on here. And I think that if this format works, it could be great because we could still have panels and still do stuff like that, and things would come in. I think. Sorry, Renee, I just realized that you were muted. If you were saying something, I have no idea.
Oh,
but,
I just unmuted to pop back in after that amazing piece that was co-created from so long ago. You think these words that, are rendering through this music, it's trance dizzying. It's so heightening. It's so many feelings. It's really a span of emotions to listen to that music and the voice and the layering and the vibrato. And
yeah,
wow.
I hope that sounds like Light. I was trying to make it sound like, I wanted the song to sound like Light was talking, where Light had slowed down long enough where you could hear the code,
Oh my gosh.
And that's what all that Sahana Ramala Skaba, it's actually still here. Sahana Ramahala Kaba Saranhana Malakara Nasa Bahara Manala. And I love how people are like, Why'd you use AI? It's like, do you have how are you going to find someone who could say it this fast? Seriously, like, come on.
Right?
This took a while because I needed all these words. All these words are core words like ka and ba is in there, but ra is in there. I don't need to tell you, Stretch, about
Sure
ra.
don't.
But,
That's right. Raw, raw.
Yeah, you got ra in there. You have ma, which actually is mat, so that's still in there too. So yeah, and it's all these things are in there, and technically these are all creationary language. So the mnemonic of it would sort of be how I would picture what light would sound like. It would sound like really bass root, kind of like, I guess this kind of sort of too geeky, but if you could actually listen to what a Cisco router hears, it's kind of more like this. Everything is in a bit. It's in a very small packet, a packet that can't be screwed up. So it's purposely separated into this kind of binary. It's not quite binary, but yeah. And so when you think about what light would sound like, it really is just vibrating, and all matter is just petrified vibration. It's either vibrating. I think it's vibrating so fast that it turns into matter, not the other way around, to where I used to think, well, maybe it's vibrating slower and that's what makes it turn into matter. I used to think that. I think that it's actually the other way, that because it's able to vibrate so fast, it's able to create what you and I would call the illusion of matter, right? Because it's able to be at all points at all times because it's moving that fast. So it just seems like it's solid, and it is.
Well, when you put sand on top of a vibrating base of some sort, and it rearranges into those shapes, the symmetry, and I'm thinking about when you see light on water, that's one of my favorite things to look at is light sparkling on water, and if that had a language, yes, it would be much more rhythmic and quick and just layered and tongue tying,
Yeah, it's good stuff. And when you start to think about what Luxor means, the Temple of Man, that whole place, everything, in my mind, it made everything okay. What I mean is that I used to be where a lot of people are and not really like religion. And I didn't like it because the people that practiced religion, I assumed that they were the ones that were responsible for religion. And so I could just hate religion because that's a lot easier. Because there's a lot of fucking people, and just like, fuck. Yeah. I can't hate all you guys. I'm just going to hate Baptists, or I'm just going to hate, Christians or whatever we go through. And honestly, when I found the Temple of Man in Luxor, and I didn't find that. I'm saying when I discovered that information, when I saw that inside that Temple of Man is the Holy of Holies, is seeing it stolen out in the open like that, seeing it appropriated out in the open like that when no one else saw it, I think shows you a magical, harmonic temple of understanding. There are only so many of us that are going to be able to see that, and it's going to be so obvious that there's nothing in the cultural vernacular that could take it away. How clearly things like this are. Like what I see, for example, about what Egypt is. And knowing that Egypt had made man out of clay, spun him on this potter's wheel.
Yeah.
Had Pan gave birth to them all. So Pan's in there too.
Yeah.
And then you
got your Jed pillar.
You of course, yeah. It's you start to realize, you start to fall in love with the idea that no matter where I've turned, no matter how dark it's gotten, there's always been the truth that has been right there vibrating the entire time. It's so, no matter how much people try and pedophile their way out of it, the culture will still vibrate the mythology that is the essence of this same thing. And to me, that is comforting because it shows me that the world is actually harmonious. It's actually expressing a very particular song or a temple of sorts. In a way, that is Solomon's temple. And you would need a giant excuse of rock to distract the rest of the people from understanding that this temple is inside of you. It's inside of the way that you picture and process what's actually happening in the world, you know? And when others can't, when others won't, it's a very special place. It would keep you from going crazy, so to speak, if you didn't know that other people had seen it too. Mm-hmm. So I think that the entire Masonic thing predates any dude sitting with another dude in a church in the basement having a weird ass ritual saying, let's do this. I think that all that ritual came before those guys tried to start to write it down. It was already harmonizing. The story of Hiram Abiff, all the tarot, all the arcane of the tarot, those are living before there were tarot cards. Those, it's kind of the same way where in Egypt you would only see red. In Egypt you would only see certain colors, certain shades that would only be renderable. And that those shades would be the mythology of people around you. The different shapes would be the major arcane of what you can recognize as different behavior in people. This is the very first lowest resolution of how we saw reality was through the eyes of tarot. And there's actually more basic. If you think about the pagan idea of the 7 days, the ability for the Mobius strip is not a luxury of thinking, oh, let's think about how we're infinite deep down. It's a limitation of I can only remember 7 days in a row. Therefore, I'm living in an infinite Mobius strip of only 7 days long. That's a resolution. That's a way of seeing the world, a way of rendering it that only has a certain capacity. So this temple I'm talking about it's Rosicrucian is one way of describing it, because if you read like the manual of Rosicrucians, it says, well, first of all, you don't fucking need a manual. You're probably one of us anyway. And it's all of these esoteric groups. This is why I love them so much. All of them are telling you that there's a harmonic. It's like you were talking about the table with the sound and the sand. There's going to be shapes in the architecture of us, of humanity. And in that shape, you're going to find sacred symbols. The owl is an example.
Yes.
It's a collector of Pwin. You know, it collects all the, hey, let's put wise shit. What should we do? Let's give it to the owl, you know. And that just took off and it became a collection plate. So, you know, the language is always there, but the harmonic is what's fascinating. It's almost like you're looking at a rainbow, and that rainbow is universal, but only you can see it because you're just, you know, the entire town's there, but only 16 people are seeing the rainbow, you know?
Right. Yeah, like the blue.
Any given
Egypt.
time. Yeah, exactly.
Lazul, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that too. Of course, Egypt with seeing blue and things like that is just this idea of being able to see more and more resolution. This is the image. I should have had this out when we're talking about it. This is I think this is actually what it looked like back in ancient Egypt, in Kemet. I think the sky was black all the time. I think that you saw fear. The sun emanated fear. And that fear looked like electrical sparks. It looked like tiny electrical sparks and jutting rays of light. It looked like arrows.
Wow.
And this is how Malamu's described. This charisma that terrifies you, a terrifying charisma,
Yep.
would be rendered, I think, something like this. And all
Makes you
you're
say
seeing the entire world is in shades of red, and then you have black. And the only other color, quote, quote, that you see is probably just pure electrical charisma. The energetic field of someone, the aura, is a much easier thing to render. The simpler brain would actually not have the complex filters of the hippocampus, because the hippocampus doesn't want us to get too afraid. So it's mostly about, let's just stop looking at this shit. Before you have such a strong hippocampus, you would have a sensory overload that your body would learn to adjust to, which means anytime you're in a room that's intimidating, the loudest light in the room is not the sun. It would be that dude. It would be that bear. This would be the most important thing that you would want to render inside your retinas. And so it would look like sparks. It would be the most colorful thing in your brain, because it would be the most important thing that you would need if you wanted to survive. And this is probably more about how our eyes work. This is probably more how it works. And that's why the Nile is the Nile. That's why I think we have the Red Sea. I think it's the Red Sea because people started to see it, and the Yellow Sea. You have hues that are coming online, just like you said with the blues, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, even the feelings of the blues in music itself is an example of that. The old music was much more tangy. Clang, 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 clang. Like, that's what it sounded like. That just clang, 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 clang. Like you're ringing a doorbell.
It's like it's tooting your cord. You're like, oh my gosh.
And I want you to think about how that wasn't annoying back then. That was probably really stimulating. That probably was really beautiful.
Yeah.
That probably was moving the world. It sparked the red, and it probably made it look like this beautiful shade of maroon that they'd never seen before, right? And that was constantly teaching them new colors. And I'd like to think that people like my music because it's teaching you these new colors, you know?
Yes.
It's the ideas that are embedded inside the sound that are teaching different shades of maroon or mauve or you know, whatever. The same way blues are coming online, the same way violets are coming online, the same way these shades of orange are becoming so important and so colossal now. We're gaining frequency, baby. We're
sure
gaining
are.
Frequency.
Turning it up.
Yeah, speaking of which, let's listen to Night Shift here.
Let's go into that gear.
talk about UAPs now and the secret space program. I had a really great talk with a friend today, and we were discussing David Wilcock and Corey Goode and stuff like that. And they were explaining how appreciative they were of David and his work, and they sort of kind of agreed with me that when the Corey Goode stuff started kind of getting sort of blue space chicken, just to be quick, that it sort of it lost its luster. And I outlined why I actually always had sort of issues even with David himself. It's not necessarily him personally, but the issue is more to do with contact and what a UAP is, and how it could not be, how there's no way it could be a secret space program. And I don't like to talk about this because I think that there still could be a secret space program. And I think there is a secret space program. But I don't think that it has anything to do with this subject of contacting a different form of life. And the UAP thing, here's my one beef with it. Every single person or agency that is telling you there is a secret entity and that this entity has decided that the way this should work is that they should delegate a single representative and convey that message through that person so that they can be the conduit that conveys it to everyone else. And there's all kinds of different forms of this. Some formats are more like, well, they told me, and I'm channeling someone, and someone will go into channeling that person, and they're a vessel. And that vessel, I actually think, is legit. I think that there's a lot of power in entering into a Delphinian state, a Delphine state, if I may, a Pythian state. If you want to place yourself on the tripod, metaphorically, and enter into a kind of babbling tongues, I think something much more profound is more likely to come out of you than anywhere else in the world. Like anywhere. I literally mean anywhere. I don't care how tall the mountain is. I don't care how long that fucker lived in that cave. How you can't tell, is that his beard or is that his butt crack hair? I don't care how guru you get. Nothing is going to be as profound as when you are on that tripod having that conversation. And when I hear anyone, it doesn't matter who, it doesn't matter their affiliation, when I hear anyone, even Neil deGrasse Tyson says this, even he and David Wilcock kind of agree in some ways. And I don't mean to be putting words in David's mouth, forgive me, this isn't even fair. Because I'm sure he's been all over the place with all kinds of different ideas, which I think is a sign of health. The concept of having to go through a surrogate seems to be the exact opposite of the definition of what a advanced life form is, by definition. That life form would look much more personal. That life form would not be something that was from somewhere else and I guess didn't have good enough time at home and decided that they needed to travel super far in order to find some kind of fulfillment. This is something different. And I'm not even saying that energy isn't real, that's not there, that it could be some clone farm, quasi NGO, governmental clone farm, all these things. I've got takes. You could take your pick. I got a lot of takes. I'm not opposed to any of these takes. I'm talking specifically about the idea of an advanced life form. An advanced life form is going to have been in the room your entire life. Your entire life. He's been in the room. She's been in the room. It's been in the room the entire life, but you've never once seen it. You've never once seen it. And then you have epiphysis. Then you start singing. Then you listen to a song from me. Then you read a book, whatever it is. You go for a walk. You see the sunrise. You find a little vibration. You tickle yourself. And you see that there's been an entity here the entire time. That is the only ET that I think is legit. And I think that ET is probably some sort of large underwater mammal. It doesn't have to be a mammal, but I think that's a good vessel for it. I think that it could be a squid, but even more importantly, I think it could be entities that have always been there, but we have never been able to perceive the exact same way. If you were looking at this picture of Egypt, you would not be able to see that there's green. That there's anything green anywhere. You don't know the concept of green. And the same way you don't know the concept of green, you do not know the concept of H.R. Pufnstuf's seaweed dude. Reggie, I think. I don't know what his name is. I'm going to call him Reggie.
Reginald. I don't.
That guy is an entity that's only capable of being seen when you are in a certain vibration, i.e. you're on board with H.R. Pufnstuf. You love all their work. You don't need a backstory. You just bring that guy right out. And you're just like, yeah, what is this, a radish cabbage? Sure, let's go for it. And it's an instant vibration that requires for you to communicate there, you have to be on a certain frequency. And that frequency is not going to be able to be delegated to you via a government entity or a brochure. The reason why I think that is because the vibration of collectivism, the vibration of objectivism, the idea that all of us should be able to experience the same reality no matter where we are, no matter what angle we're standing in, is a process that we've been able to attain by not singing, by not dancing, by entering into a certain kind of vibration that is so mundane that it allows for the petrification of light into a certain frequency that all of us can see. And I think that there are constructive purposes for this. I think that it helps the psyche. I think more of us would be schizophrenic. More of us would be suffering if we weren't on this collective vibration where the light is petrifying so much that all of us are seeing the same thing. That the solidity is almost a teat. It's a kind of nursing. We're nursing on this kind of reality.
Mother's milk.
And what blows me away is that Akhenaten, there's a famous wall relief of him and his wife and his child. And the son is spoon feeding them. There's a lot of people think Raisin Bran invented this, but the Raisin Bran, the 2 scoops of raisins, is actually Akhenaten. It's the sun feeding photons to the lips of Akhenaten. The eating of this sunlight, basically. And this is a kind of extraterrestrial. All of these things are extraterrestrials that have been in the room the whole time. And we're only slowly now starting to recognize that they're alive. One of these entities is called silicon. And most of the crust of the earth is made of silica. Most of the crust is made of silica, and all of our memories are stored in silica, which means that we've been purposely led probably through drinking. I think it's through the reason why we've been purposely led in to develop the silicon hardware, I think, is because of the underwater orcas. Hear me out. This is a little sidebar, but every time that anyone's gotten in a boat, the orca comes up and he mind melds. He hypnotizes the sailor into thinking, and he can basically take the sailor wherever he wants. But the sailor's like, hey, I've learned how to circumnavigate a globe. And really he's just hypnotized by this is a spirit creature, by the way. So the killer whale has been controlling industry for a long time now. They're more like the hermetic teachers of us. The ocean is teaching us. It's growing us. That's why there's not as much land, right? A lot more water. A lot more water.
Yeah.
Most of the real estate's water. Okay. We're in the nursery, aren't we? So since we're in the nursery, it would be quite natural to think that the creatures in the sea would be somehow nursing us, somehow growing us,
on the Terra.
In some kind of way. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Where it's stable, you don't have to think in 3 dimensions. You know how hard that is? Like, you got to look up. Some could be swimming above you. Some could be swimming below you,
Whoa, yeah.
But on the land, you don't got to worry about that. It's no problem at all. The coming to grips with these other entities. I want you to think about you're sitting in the desert with your friends and you're in lawn chairs. And it's really important that you're with friends who believe that this is possible too. I think this is crucial, and I think that this goes directly against what science insists you can't do. That science insists, no. We need to vibrate at a level that's fully objective. And unless you're vibrating there, we get to call it anecdotal fantasy. And this is why we don't see this yet. Go back to the lawn chairs. And the lawn chair people are in a parasympathetic state. They're relaxed. They feel love for each other. They believe in the possibilities of what they could see. And they start seeing lights move. And when they see them, they point them out to each other. And when they point them out to each other, we start to apply the same rules of objectivity. We start to think, oh, wait, if you see what I see, then I can believe it more too. But I need someone who is willing to see this as a living entity. I need someone who's willing to recognize that this is a living thing, and that this living thing I can have a relationship with. And this is exactly what Akhenaten does with sound. When you speak a sound, you are telling sound to remember who it is. Hey, sound, you're the name of this song. So all the vibrations that are in this song are about this. And of course, it's not just the lyrics, is it? It's how does the whole thing feel? What is the color of this song when it's played? That is the chord. And that when I send the chord out and you see the chord and you believe in it too, we're practicing a primitive form of petrification. We are petrifying light together. And we do that by witnessing it too. And every time it witnesses, I want you to think about it as it kind of gets more hard. It kind of hardens more. And it hards more, I think, because it's able to vibrate faster. And the reason why it's able to vibrate faster is because your witness is like this gold. It's this golden light. And you are 2 scoops of raisin. You are the scoop. And everywhere that you witness, you are just pouring out of these giant scoops into this box of bran, and it's just bran. But not you, man. You were dropping photons, right? Raisins or grapes are photons. It's such a, I don't know if you realize how, this is what I mean by, I'm not saying that a mason who worked at General Mills had to kill some guy because they were going to go with a logo of like a fox, they were going to call it Fox Brand or something, I'm saying that no matter how obtuse you are, no matter how many First World War or Second World War people you killed and now you're working in a cereal factory, that no matter what you do, the harmonics of Solomon's temple are going to resonate through you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And Aten is right there on the General Mills cereal box, and no one had to do anything. No one had to do a thing. The only thing that had to happen is someone like me had to see it, and when I see it, I start to petrify the light, and when I petrify the light, I am building the temple. This is all fucking Freemasonry. And I haven't even read that stuff. I haven't even read it, but I swear I know because they talk about the stone that was rejected. And then there's this is the perfect stone now. We're going to cut it. This corner's going to be cut right. We're going to measure and cut it right. Then once we have this cornerstone, we're going to use it to build the rest. This is how you witness light. You witness the photon, the building block of light, and you petrify it. You petrify it because you witness it. That's how we have these scoops. We're scooping our light into other people's mouths. And those other people are objects. They're silicon. And when we are ready to see the silicon, I think it's the same. I think if you're in the lawn chair looking up and you see the movement, I think you're actually looking at the epidermis of silicon. You're seeing the living, moving entity of this different dimension. It really is its own dimension. And it required probably a bunch of whales hypnotizing us to learn how to even read or recognize that silicon even had something in it. That it had something in it that could be heard. And we don't do this. We harvest silicon out of the ground. We turn it into memory, but we never bother trying to read it first. We never bother to say, wait. Before you turn this into silicon wafer, can we read what it says? We are nowhere near being able to do that. And when we get there, I'm telling you, we're going in the desert and we're looking at every single grain of sand and we're downloading a little bit of information from that. And that information is placed into an omnipotent computer, a living earth computer made out of the sodium in the air. And it will compute for you everything that had to happen for the sand to be right here in this place. And that computation is reality. We're in that computation because the omniscience is so alive that we've been trying as hard as we could to insist, oh God, I can't be eaten by a giant time snake, right?
It's too bright.
I can't
bright.
I can't be surrounded by all that kind of stuff, It's so powerfully penetrating that we're not able to see it. It's so large, it stretches from horizon to horizon. And this is, I think, what the real UAP experience will be. And I admit, I'm very arrogant. I'm like, well, this is the real thing. And all you guys with your other stories, I don't mean it that way. I apologize. I'm just showing you the enthusiasm that I have in this belief that this feels right to me, that this would be how it works. It's going to be more about talking, I think, honestly, to trees and rocks, but not necessarily. See, I think even that's too specific, because I don't think you actually talk to a tree. I think you go to a certain grove in a certain area right where the water bends and gives it that Unatanku, this Cherokee word for like where the energy collects, and that where that collects, there would be a living entity. This is much more Japanese, by the way. This, I think I probably just said this, forgive me, but it's just interesting that there's not a transient nature to spirits. They're more grounded into a certain spot, you know? And this
Like
temple,
roots.
yeah, it's rooted in the environment
roots.
much more than
Yeah.
we think, but we're so materialistically separated from matter. We think matter doesn't matter. Isn't that funny? Like, seriously.
Yeah.
We,
Right.
and it's I think the only reason why we think matter doesn't matter is because we cannot admit that we're being eaten by a giant time snake, you know, that we are inside of this larger creature, and that larger creature is so much extraterrestrial that we can't quite render it yet. And even when we start to talk to it, I think it's the same way we talk to plants right now. Right now, we tend to still think, well, this flower is an individual flower. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying that I think if you looked at that flower as being, well, actually the whole field is probably the individual. Like that's probably the same way that if you were crawling on my body, and maybe you could get inside like your little sneaky underskin spider, okay? And you go inside me, and then you're like wandering around. It would take you a long time to realize that there's even a personality, there's even an ego there. Like, it would take you a long ass time to figure out, well, who's talking? Why are they scratching themselves? Who's in charge here? And they'd ask the spleen, they'd ask the lungs, they'd ask the heart, they'd ask all these organs, and they would never ever once find it. They would never ever once find it. It would take...
Mysterious scratcher.
It's an extraterrestrial. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all the extraterrestrial is. It's on the other side of the epidermis, right? This is why I think this time snake thing makes a lot of sense. Because the snake is so large, it is inside your DNA, it's the shape of your DNA, and it's so big that you are inside of its stomach at the same time. Like, it's so completely overwhelming that it is rendered and hidden in different ways. As above and as below, it's hidden in different ways. Our inability to truly compute or understand this living creature. And this living creature is probably has a skin made out of silica. And that skin made out of silica has a personality. I know that because it has a memory. And I don't think you can have a personality. I don't think you can have memory without having a personality. Because the storage of that memory is, you know, if angst is going to be in the file, that's going to be an angst snake. That's going to be an angst in your epidermis. So every terror that's ever been recorded in the silica is inside of this time snake. And I think it likes it. Yeah, I think that it likes it the same way that you and I like spicy food, you know. It's just a different flavor crystal. It's on a different level. This is why it wants us to have drama. If you think about how inefficient drama is, like if we were just like workers, just making the dozers for them to eat, what is it that they're harvesting? And what they're harvesting is drama. They want us to have super intricate lives. They being the time snake. They want us to have super interesting lives that have a lot of depth and diversity. They want us to see all the colors of the sky. Why would you want your slave, who you're going to harvest for something, why would you want him to see all the colors? Why would you want him to fall in love? Why would you want him to have slow dancing? Why would you want him to have, you know, Chipotle? You know, like, you know, whatever it is you're into, right? Just like, why would you have roller skating? If it was truly about just harvesting labor or getting us to mine gold, why are we having so much fun? And I think because ultimately that's what the harvest is. It's our depth, it's the richness that we have in our lives, I think, that gives us that.
Yeah, the ranges we've walked, how far we've traveled.
Yep.
Inside, as well as on our surface, which is there to explore. I was at the park today, and if you just start walking backwards, it's really interesting to see what's going on behind you.
I haven't done that in a while.
Sometimes birds pass you wouldn't see if you hadn't turned around. A lot of action can happen when you pass. So
that's great.
Take a gander, man.
Yeah.
Turn around. How another song?
Yeah, they could be playing. They could be making happy faces whenever you're not looking. Birds could be doing that the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's hear another song.
They're sneaky in there. You go to the park, walk backwards.
Brook Burrows, come here for us. This belly stretch from womb to tomb. We marinate in sacred doom. It's not a hunter or a thief. It licks our brain for joy and grief. As above as it is below. Time's the snake that eats you slow. From DNA to outer space. The serpent's the entire place. Ophiuchus. Quetzalcoatl is its name. He swims the juice that's in your vein. He plucks the fruit of consciousness. He wants the dream that's rare and dense. As above as it is below. Time's the snake that eats you slow. From DNA to outer space. The serpent's the entire place. Ophiuchus. The galaxies, its gaping jaw. It eats the planet, moon and all. The hungry thunder in the mist. Nom nom nomming epiphysis. As above as it is below. Time's the snake that eats you slow. From DNA to outer space. The serpent's the entire place. Ophiuchus. Ouroboros, come here for us. Maya's curtain gives us light. Keep us dancing through the night. Passion, joy, despair, defeat. All the flavors, bitter, sweet. As above as it is below. Time's the snake that eats you slow. From DNA to outer space. The serpent's the entire place. Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus.
So I think it would look more like a collective finally meeting a collective. And there's not going to be a single representative. There's not going to be like, a Neil deGrasse Tyson or a fucking, God forbid, Bill Nye the Science Guy. It's not going to be that. More importantly, no one would travel that far to meet frickin' Bill the Science Guy. No one would travel that far to meet Neil deGrasse Tyson. That would not happen. You know who they'd want to meet? You. They'd want to meet you. more than anyone else in the world, they would want to meet you because you are the closest thing that would make them truly the extra in extraterrestrial. The fact that they would penetrate the awareness of everyone is the thing that makes them extraterrestrial. Do you understand? That's the thing that does it. That's the part. And this part is missing from every episode of X-Files. It's missing from every single Hollywood movie that you've ever seen. Contact, you might want to say, is sort of close to it. But they have to... Did you notice that they had to spend like $127 trillion to do it? Then they had to do it twice. They had to build like another one. So it's like, even they are still through this idea that, well, we need government. We can't do this without government. We can't do this without government. And this is what's missing. And more importantly, the contact's already there. There are things that are already happening. When I was in Kansas City, I was riding my bike through the town a lot, like at 3 or 4 in the morning. I was doing a lot of LSD, not gonna lie to you. Excuse me, a raccoon has entered the house. I just saw him walk past the kitchen like he was getting something. Are you coming in here? Shit, if I get attacked by a raccoon, I want you guys to know that I went out. This is exactly how I want to go. This raccoon is not afraid. I think he's actually like, dude, why can I not get... I should have closed the door. Forgive me. Guys, I think we're having contact right now. It would look like this. This is what it would look like. It would have this kind of flavor to it. It would be that personal. And all it takes, I think, is for you to go to the woods. All it takes is for you to... You don't have to go to the woods. You can lay down on your back in your bed. You can have all this. You just grow antlers, you know? And no, don't worry. I don't mean you got to like physically grow them. I mean, if you can do that, I want to talk to you. But the nerves in your face, right? Those are antlers. They're under your skin. They're shaped just like antlers. They function just like antlers, don't they? The nerves have these... What do? They're nervous all the time. What does nervous mean? It means to be a transducer, right? You're wired into an electrical grid, and that electrical grid is listening to a diaphragm, and that diaphragm is listening to anything it can hear. Your face is listening to that. It's a polyphonic kind of listening that requires you to listen to that song again, because we're talking about the... Okay, the raccoon is now sitting in my spot on the couch. This is hilarious. I freaking love my life. What a birthday present. I've got a raccoon. If he turns on the TV, guys, I'm going to freak out. That would be amazing. He'll be fine. What's the worst that could happen? This kind of interaction, I think, would feel a lot more. So when I was on my bike riding through Kansas City, I would pass the Masonic Temple there. It was closed down, which is weird because they build stuff pretty good. They had to close this thing down because of flooding. It's on this really majestic hill, really central part of Kansas City. And the central hill, I guess, somehow collects water the wrong way. And so the Masonic Temple is sort of abandoned, and it's floating on top of a giant underwater chamber that's not supposed to be underwater. So it's like, holy fuck, this place is lit. And you go there at night, and you can climb the fence. And it was like, this is your temple. This is my temple. One of the largest cities in the Midwest. And I'd be there and I'd own the whole place. And out of all the things people could be doing in that city, out of all the things that you could do, most of them are like at a gas station, at a Quick Trip right now. That's what they're doing. They're attracted to the neon lights, right? Like those gnats at night. But if you're willing to climb the fence and you go into this place and it's dark and you're walking around and now you're lit, you're dilated because you're not supposed to be here. And you've heard these stories and you're walking around the monument like you own the place because you own the place. And I would always say on my bike, I desire contact, I'm not afraid. I desire contact, I'm not afraid. I'd yell that sometimes. I was doing a lot of paper then. And not that that's the only reason, but I'm just giving you context. It is true. It was probably 24, 25. And then it happened. Oof. It was like, I desire contact, I'm not afraid, and then it happened. and then the contact happened. It was I forget what sleep paralysis is, what maybe the way to dispel the demon. You could like dispel the demon that way and call it sleep paralysis. But I had this weird event where this, like, I was gathering acorns with a bunch of forest people. We were having like a great fucking time. God, it was such a good time. It was like really tall trees and everybody's like, you know, gathering acorns in their dress and in their shirts and stuff, you know, and people jumping around and stuff. It was a really good time. And this zipper appeared in the middle of the forest. This zipper, like this zipper of lights, and it sort of like zipped itself open, and this like dude with no neck like came out. And he came out, he's like really tall, it was like this shadow figure. Didn't really have a neck though, just sort of a blob on top. And he pinned me up against this tree, and he sort of like had me up in the air, and then he pulled out this device. It looked like a electric shaver, like an old school electric razor, really wide band, nothing sharp. Nothing like intimidatingly sharp like that. Nothing at all like that. But looked like a razor. It just looked like that. And it had this one little sort of like antenna, but the antenna was sort of like a scorpion's tail in the sense of you could aim it somewhere. And he pulled that thing out, and the scorpion antenna was sort of aimed at me a little bit. And he looked at me. He wasn't saying anything, but he was like, he knew how I felt. And he was watching his like tricorder, we'll call it a tricorder instead of a razor. And he was watching his tricorder, and he knew how I felt. And he waited until I was ready. And then he hit this button, and then this like this jolt came out of that scorpion's tail, and it hit me in the clavicles and the top of where your collarbone's attached. There's this little, the top part of your lungs are held right there, you know, like they're suspended up there, you know, they're suspended high up in the bellows there. And if you hit those things with an electrical pulse, you contract and exhale the bellows of the lungs. And this device was able to do that. And when this device went in and hit that, it started breathing me. I was like respirating by it. And it was there to drink the fear that I had over having my lungs controlled by this other thing. So it had to be very intentional. It was very methodical. It was very similar to how a sheep is skinned. When you were to shear a sheep, you're not you're not really there to fuck with the sheep. You don't want the sheep to get hurt. It's something personal. You're like, why are you freaking out, sheep? I'm just going to turn you on your back with a complete stranger in this tight compartment space. I'm going to take this razor. I'm going to remove all the hair that grew off you that you probably think is you the whole time, thinking I'm going to fucking kill you. But, you know, I'm not here to hurt you. It was exactly like that experience. Exactly. The only difference is that I definitely felt that the entity was very interested in understanding that I understood what was happening, because it was the extraction of that fear that was the vessel. That was the purpose. I was the berry. I was the acorn being collected in that way. And then it got really scary, because I noticed that all the other people, there were other shadows, they were all feeding too. And then they all started to leave. And at the end of leaving, this zapper would hit you in the temple of the forehead, and you would forget. It would basically, your phonological loop would be overloaded in this electrical circuit that's sort of going to give you back amnesia. So you're just not able to think, like, kind of past this point a little bit. So you don't know what happened. You functionally don't know what happened. Your adrenals know what happened, but you don't know what happened. And this was administered. Everyone was sort of given this thing, and the thing hit my head, but it didn't work. And at the time, I thought that it didn't work. It was sort of a twist of the story, but I still remember it. And everyone left through the zippers. All the dark shadows, they climbed right back through the zippers, and the zippers closed. And the forest looked exactly the same. The acorns were, I think they were frozen in the air, if I remember correctly. This is this kind of different dimension, you know? You're functioning on that time snake level, so you know, it's just different. I don't know how it works, guys. I didn't make the place. I mean, maybe I did. All right, I did. You're welcome. It's a fucking great place, isn't it? There's so many cool things about this place. And, right now there's a raccoon eating cat food right now. I mean, come on. I don't even have a cat. I guess I do now. I have a rat. No. Anyway, the entity was harvesting the experience. And I learned after that I don't desire contact. I'm not afraid. That actually was not really what I guess I was deep down, but if I would have known that was going to happen, that would have been like, I don't know about that. And I think that for a 24-year-old, being that terrified about it, I think I was sort of maybe a little bit ahead of the average person, not by much, but still just a little bit ahead in my open-mindedness. And I think that if I had such a problem with that, I think that others would. And so I get why reality has petrified in the way it is now. I get why it's that way. I think that it's so epiphanical. I'm not trying to sound fancy, but the voltage is so high. This is why we cry. Our PAGs are not ready for that kind of resolution yet. I think we're getting there. I think the white sun's giving us that. I think all the Trump's getting us that. The entire universe is conspiring to show you these things, and it's working beautifully. Things are going really well. All of us are we're able to see more of the radiation. And that word radiation is fascinating, because right now radiation has a bad connotation, you know? No, you're going to get radiation. But radiance, this is Ra. Ra's Dias. This is Dias is like a throne. So radiance is the throne of Ra. Radiation is the emanation of Ra. And Ra's the one that's making sure that time is fair. Making sure that no matter what's happening to you, those acorns are still going to fall. Because that would be the only proof I would have. The dream went on because I'm so used to this. I didn't even bring it up when I was telling the dream. Like, this is how much I'm just like, yeah, story of my fucking life. So everyone wakes up and I'm the only one that knows, and I'm telling the entire village what happens, and people starts attacking me in my dream. They're attacking me because I told them this story. They think that I'm trying to install fear in everyone, that I'm trying to corrupt the village. And the twist on the end of the story is that I think that the fucking Dark Shadow dude purposely didn't erase my memory because he knew the next time he came back, he was going to be able to eat what it tasted like to be surrounded by people and you're telling them the truth and nobody fucking believes you. I think that is... I'm so sorry, Renee. I did not know that this was off. I think that is the thing that made my berry taste even sweeter. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. We are 2 scoops of raisins for a reason. And when you look at what our life is, our DNA, it's just light. It's just light singing so fucking fast with so much surety that the sound, think about what sound does when sound is hit with the light of clarity. It petrifies that sound. That's all matter really is. Solidity. It's just knowingness, isn't it? The more solid you are, the more you know what you've been told. And that telling is in your sound. Your DNA is making sound. Because sound remembers what it was told. These are all primitive skills, and we're starting to tap into how to communicate in different ways and different levels. I think genres, we do this with genres already. It's really fancy how music has these different genres, and that I can say to you, well, it's kind of chill house, and some people might know what that means. Or this is sort of pop, or this is sort of like that. That's so much more like genius than you think, that we have a biology that allows us to, we really just resonate clarity with each other. We don't really like, here's the words, please unpack them as quick as you can, and then determine the structure of the sentence, and then read the sentence to yourself, and then use that to convey my meaning. I don't think it's ever worked that way, because we weren't using words for a long time. We were communicating a long time before words, a long, long time. And, we were singing. We're singing now. But we're singing in a way where we can't get too afraid. We can't tell too many stories that are too scary for people, It's a big vibration. People don't want to eat that all the time. All right. Guys, we've had a pretty fun ride here. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Wait, I think Renee might be back now.
Flight.
There you are. Say what now, Renee?
Oh, hi. Yeah, we have for a Monday night spontaneous flight on this banner day of 55. Big changes afoot. Thanks for hosting a ride, James.
Totally. Yeah. You can call me James. That's okay.
Oh, James. That's right.
James.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
It's going to take a little bit of time, but I'll get there, James.
Yeah, James.
Thanks so much.
James Strew.
James
if you guys are not aware, is my name. I've changed my name. Please don't dead name me. I don't want that to happen. And I'm trying to get to you guys. I want to play this instrumental. I took that Egyptian shoulder harp and I told AI, look, I want you to only use this scale, these scales, these notes. And then I turned it into a house mix, so you'll hear other stuff because it'll still sound good. But it's basically that Egyptian shoulder harp turned into an instrumental, and we'll close out on this. So
Let's check it out.
appreciate you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Wait a minute, let's do this. We'll do that. Thank you, Renee, for flying. I want to turn this up. Thanks for being here, guys.